So for any of you that were paying attention last week to the section that said next week, which would be this week, you will notice that what we're doing this week is not what I said we're going to be doing next week, last week. Yeah. So this is based on a few conversations. I actually thought this would be a good introduction to a series. What's the series about, you may ask? How long is the series going to go, you may ask? That is a very good couple of questions. And two questions I don't exactly have an answer to, but I'm feeling good about this. I think this is going to be an interesting start. So you're going to notice this morning's reflection is actually not me. I'm going to give you a little bit of a break there. But it's based on a talk of a book that I'm reading right now. And I think there's some really important stuff that we need to uncover a little bit as we can continue on in this series of struggles. So I'm really excited, and I hope you enjoy this sort of different conversation. I really do want to just start to move a little bit away from just, the sort of talking head thing, which we've had to do. It's a necessity. I get it. But I've been having a lot of conversations about what is our church, what are our faith families of Westover and Mountsburg going to look like on the other side? Because we, even though it may not feel like it, we are going to come through this. So what are things going to look like? And one of the things we really honestly have to take a look at is we need to rebuild. We have been physically distanced from each other for over a year. It's just been this kind of, really one-sided, perspective of our faith community. It's as much as I'm enjoying talking with all of you, the reality is it's Saturday and I'm talking to a camera and I don't miss you. I want to acknowledge all that stuff because I think it's honest. And of course, because it's honest, God's involved in it. God is in this aspect of our life. So however long this series goes and what exact topics we're going to be looking at, what I want us to focus on today is the very famous story of David and Goliath, acted out right here by my sons.
We thought we were going to clink and then I went, I'm dead.
Don't worry. Sloane's okay. It looked way worse than it was, but it gets to the point of what we're talking about. This is typical older brother, younger brother kind of dynamics. Or as you're about to learn, and as I'm sure you've experienced, that what we now refer to as the David and Goliath, the idea of a little underdog going up against seemingly insurmountable obstacles and somehow coming out as the victor. Well, as you're going to see in our reflection this morning, sometimes our thoughts around these ideas are misinformed. We tend to think that things have to go a certain way in order to be successful, to be beneficial, to be good. What I'm really hoping at the heart of the series is to return us to a very gospel-centered understanding of our lives, that things are never quite what they seem. Which is why faith is such an important element. We're not going to get all the answers. We're not going to get it all right. Faith and grace and love and humility and compassion are so instrumental because even the things we think we know so clearly, more often than not, we're actually wrong. And that can be very disconcerting. That can be very disheartening. But if we come at it from the teachings of the gospel, from the example of Jesus and his followers, I think we're going to find some real surprising ways to reinterpret not just stories like David and Goliath as you're about to read, but maybe our whole lives as well. I mean, many of you that are watching this, hold on. That was spit, not COVID. Actually, I got vaccinated this week. Woohoo! So I am indestructible. Just kidding. Many of you that are watching this, you're at an advanced stage of life. There is, because of our culture, there's a certain amount of pressure or identity on you that somehow, for some reason, you may not be able to contribute as much or do the same things you did when maybe you were my age. And somehow that can, over time, impact negatively our self-awareness. And so I really want to spend however many weeks we're going to spend to talk about however many different things to help us reframe who we are. And maybe, just maybe, see things that we believed were weaknesses to be strengths given to us by God. And conversely, some of the things that we think are really strong and good and things that we should be seeking after, maybe not so much. Maybe we've got this whole David and Goliath story wrong, as you're about to see when you go to the reflection. But that can also inspire us to take another new stock, a new look at our lives and say, what other ideas do I just assume to be right that maybe I need to look at from a different perspective? All right, my dear faith families, as you're going through the service, I want you to think just in the back of your head. Don't put a lot of effort or naming into it, or like specific names into it, but just think of the various giants that you have faced, you have survived in your own life. And probably more importantly, what are some of the big, seemingly insurmountable obstacles or giants that you are currently experiencing? And keep that in the back of your mind as we pray, as we sing together, and as we listen from Canadian academic and scholar and public intellectual Malcolm Gladwell, as he helps us reinterpret the story of David and Goliath, which I hope is the beginning of our abilities to maybe reinterpret some of the things in our life that we thought were bad, that we thought were good, and maybe, just maybe, they're the exact opposite. All right, my dear faith families, let's dig in. Oh yeah, and one more thing. I'm not sure exactly how many of these reflections I'm going to be doing. Some of it is just bringing you into some of the resources that I found really personally beneficial that I'm hoping work for you too. But I also want to use this time, this digital world we're in, to introduce us all to a bunch of new ideas and thinkers and suggestions that I think will just make our understandings of the faith, our worship services, a little bit richer and whatnot. So many of you have already sent stuff out, like via email, videos that have inspired you, things that are funny. Please keep that happening. I think this is another way, and even though we don't really know what this series is going to look like or what it is that we're going to be talking about for however long we're going to be talking about it, I think that's some way that we can actually be interactive and connect with each other. So, motorcycle. So again, keep emailing out those inspirational videos, and let's start working these into our worship service, because we can actually help inspire each other and grow with each other and continue, just like we do when we're in the same space together, sort of bounce some ideas and some thoughts and sentiments around with each other. So keep those up, and we'll see how many reflections I do in the next little while, and how many things we can sort of learn from this whole crazy internet thing that we've come to depend on so much. Okay, now let's dig in.